This week on Supercars Talk, Cam Waters easily wins 3 races and there's nothing else to see here. So this week, I'm not even going to joke about the big news. I will just get into the main talking point that everybody will be interested in. The end of race 2. Now, okay, it was spectacular. That's all there is to it. I'll accept it because it's spectacular. Okay, it all essentially started because of that double stacking in the pits where really Will Brown should have stopped and let Cam Waters through. Brock wasn't actually moving at the time. Now, granted, okay, with the timing, it wasn't too egregious. And by the rules, I think everything there was fine. But was it within the? They knew what they were doing within the spirit of the rules. They were blocking in their main competition at that point. And, yeah, that did definitely cost Cam the lead in the race. That's why he was behind. So, yeah, I hate this double stacking thing because things like that happen. Yeah, if that hadn't have happened, Cam would have been shot and gone. So the original thing was probably because AAA played in that grey area in the rules in the first place. Now, the initial incident, okay, let's look. Tickford probably should have brought Cam in earlier. They did push it. Then they had a slower pit stop than the AAA guys. So I think they planned for him to come out just in front of Brown at the time, where he ended up behind Brown and Mostert because that slightly slower pit stop. I think if everything had gone to plan, he would have been just in front. They probably went a lap too long and didn't leave themselves enough leeway there. If he didn't have to get past Mostert and Brown, you know, he would have had a lot more tyre by the time he got to Feeney and it would have been more straightforward. Now, when he did get to Feeney, I think he was probably far enough for Feeney not to turn in. No matter what, Feeney did turn in on him, so there is a bit of an onus on Feeney to give a bit of racing room like Cam was. He was coming up at a great rate, all of that, so should have probably given him a bit of room. So that was, yes, it was more Cam's fault, but if Feeney had given him a little bit of room, that wouldn't have happened in the first place. I'm fully on board with redresses. I don't particularly agree with him blocking Will Brown. I know why he did it. He did it in a safe manner. We have seen in the past where people don't do it safely. There was, I still have flashbacks to that incident. So probably shouldn't have been blocking that way. But then also Brown did screw him over in the pits. So to me, that was a little bit tit for tat. Then we had, obviously, he redressed with Feeney, so all squared up there. The little bit in the last corner with the little tap, it wasn't a full-on bump and run. He didn't get any momentum. I loved the way he used the side draft, and then the spectacular finish. I'm all for that. I'm really happy about the play-on rules in it. Like, I'd much prefer to see that where, you know, drivers can do a bit of a redress or a little bit of a square up. There was also, when Feeney came back past Waters, when he was redressing it, he did cut across and, give him a bit of a whack on the way through. So I do like that you can have a little bit of that niggle. Like, I don't want to see full on, which I'll get into later on, certain people just dive bombing and, spinning other cars out. But I do like that, you know, if they're letting a bit of this play on, a little bit of niggle, it does add to more spectacular racing. And overall, like, when we've had a lot of bad publicity lately and, you know, people still go to me about how boring Bathurst was last year because people went crashing into each other and there wasn't a pass every lap and, you know, you need 50 safety cars to make a race exciting. At least we have had this really exciting finish that will... Granted, okay, it's going to anger every Triple Eight fan in the field and make every Tickford fan happy. I think, and I'm honestly, I mean, I've got a model of each team here. I'm pretty neutral, I think, when it comes to these two teams. Well, neither of them are my favourite teams or drivers. I just really liked having that exciting finish. And I think even if I was, a Triple Eight fan, I would have found that exciting. If you're a Tickford fan, you're definitely going to find that exciting. But I think overall having something like this is ultimately good for the category, and I'd like to see a little bit more of that moving forward. And I think, the speed that Cam Waters showed over the weekend, Chaz was right up there, Triple Eight guys were right up there, Matty Payne was just kind of off. If we have got, quite a few different guys fighting out every round, like we're going to see more and more of this battle up the front. Not just, a lot of the guys are battling like this up the back, but you just don't see it or care about it because it's up the back. If we can have all this happening at the front, I'll be a very, very happy man for the rest of the year because, it's a lot better trying to justify why someone got away with a bit of a bump and, bit of tussle rather than the whole, having to hear once again about how Bathurst was boring last year because there wasn't enough crashing. Anyway, into the actual big news of the week. Everybody, sigh of relief. Jack Smith will be back for the Enduros this year. He'll be co-driving, surprisingly, the SCT Logistics car with Jackson Evans. He's... A lot of people, he shouldn't be in there, blah, blah, blah. He's a character. So we need more characters. We need a bit of niggle in the field. We need more characters. Jackie is a character. I'm very, very happy to see him back for the Enduros this year. And Jaden Ojeda has been confirmed with WAU. He was running around all weekend in his team kit. They haven't confirmed the lineups there yet. Kind of expecting him to be with Mostert and Coulthard and... Ryan Wood again in the New Zealand car and the Aussie car maybe, Team 18 has also confirmed that Dave Reynolds will be with Lee Holdsworth in the Enduros and Harry Jones will be teaming up with Anton De Pasquale. Previously, they'd confirmed the drivers but hadn't confirmed the lineups. The FIA swearing ban, Supercars does come under the Muhammad bin Salim's war on naughty words. I think you've got much bigger things to worry about. But it could affect Supercars drivers. The fines would be quite big for, Formula One drivers would not care about, a 20,000 euro fine, I think it is, which, when you're getting paid millions and millions and millions of dollars, 20,000 euro, who cares? Could be a big amount of money, especially because I think it converts to about 35,000 Australian dollars. And what some of these drivers are paying for their seats, I don't think they can pay for 35. Anyway, that's another thing to get into. But hopefully it doesn't cause an issue. As I said, we need more characters, so let's ignore that kind of stuff. Liveries. There was one livery that, it wasn't released last week, so I couldn't talk about it, but I'd also forgotten about it. The Haas of the Supercars field, I had forgotten about Premier Racing. I really liked the livery, actually. The white and red last year, I thought was a massive improvement over the kind of plain black. I love this livery, and then I can, complain about someone else running a plain black livery. Anyway, I really, really liked their white and red livery. I may have already pre-ordered that James Golden podium from Sandown car, but I really like this red and black livery. Isuzu trucks down the side, all of that. They've done a really good job. My only little criticism is the way Premier's put onto the rear quarter panel. Also really like how they kind of incorporate the Premier logo into the side of the car. Really, really happy about that. Also, the Premier logos seem a bit more prominent on the car this year as well. Has the funding been stepping up from the mother company? Anyway, they're also apparently firming as the GM homologation team, which GM also came out this week and said, yep, we want another homologation team. We're moving forward. So that's really, really very promising that, we will have 3 proper homologation teams. I would be very worried if I was, say, the second driver in that team right now, if they're becoming the homologation team they're probably going to be in search of, a big name driver, unless you go out and knock off a few big wins. Someone might be looking for another drive next year. While we're talking about liveries, Tickford logos disappeared from the back of Randall's car. They were there in all the promo shots and everything, and then just blank white rear quarter panels. I thought, but maybe they were showing off to potential sponsors, hey, here's a big white area on the back of the car that your name could be put on there. And while we're on about the liveries, all of them did look pretty good once they hit the track. I had that caveat over the last couple of weeks, like, I'll just wait and, for full judgment when we see them on TV and things like that, because traditionally, say, even the Triple Eight ones don't look as good when they're standing still, but on track, you see the logos really prominently and all that, like, they're easy to read, blah, blah, blah. So, the Triple Eight one probably still a little bit disappointing. The monster car, and I mean, while I was doing the winning, absolutely outstanding. Probably still my favourite. The DJR cars on track, they looked much better on track than the promo shots. Even the tradie livery didn't look too bad while it was on TV. On that, that's probably still the worst one of the field, but probably my biggest disappointment was actually the Tyre Power car. Every time I look at it, I don't understand the black on it. If you had a sponsor that wanted a black background on the bonnet and say that it carries over onto the roof, that makes more sense. But to me, it just looks like you've done the black on the Chico car, which makes sense because it is a predominantly black, or black and reddy orange kind of car. And then you've carried that on, but it's a blue and red car. It doesn't really gel. And that's, I suppose, you're really splitting hairs when you're picking that, because overall it's not too bad a looking car. That's just my thoughts. Now, before we get into a rundown of the teams, I had picked some questions at the start of the weekend that I wanted answered. I should have included them in last week's video, but I forgot to. Anyway, who would win the teammate battles over the weekend? Let's not get into all of them right now, but to me, Anton was the big surprise of the weekend. I fully expected them to be quite even, or if anything, Reynolds to actually have the edge. He's the one who's been in the team for, a year and all that. Anton, new guy coming in. Reynolds probably had a couple more mishaps over the weekend. His qualifying form was pretty strong, but Anton, he just did a better job in the three races. I was impressed by him considering his year, especially DJR last year. Rookie of the year, this one is too close to call at the moment. If I had to call it right now, I'd say Kai Allen is winning it. But both of them had definite flashes of speed. Both of them had a couple of little rookie errors over the weekend. I'm going too close to call right now. Did the new tyres make a difference? Yes, a hell of a difference. Well, it's hard to tell right now because tyres always make a difference at Sydney Motorsport Park. The cheese grater surface does always throw up, good tyre strategies and things like that. The tyre, it did seem more racy on the tyres though, and the over and undercuts, it did seem like, when Cam Waters did race up behind Brock Feeney, then he still had firepower to go and pass and then take off with that over and undercut. Whereas in previous years, you would have seen like a big rush up behind and then you're stuck behind someone for a few corners, tyre overheats, and you're done and dusted. So, I definitely think that the tyres are a step in the right direction, and I think it's probably going to play a bigger role at some of the other tracks where traditionally we haven't seen the same kind of, offsets as what we have at Sydney Motorsport Park. The final question, did the fuel churns make any difference? Yep. They did. To me, it looks really cool. Like, you plug in the fuel hose and whatever, but you can't see what's going on. Whereas with the fuel churn, you could actually see where the fuel was at. Granted, okay, you're only stopping for a couple of seconds. They're covered by the tyre stop and all that. But it was pretty cool to, see the fuel going down on there. Also, the bonus, obviously, you're not having to carry the big fuel towers everywhere and doing all the setup and everything that apparently was very labour intensive and costly. There was only one mistake over the weekend, really, where Cam Hill drove off with the fuel churn attached. Yeah, you could see clearly on TV, I don't think they reacted quick enough. They should have told him to stop and pull, straight into the pit next door or whatever. He got all the way to the end of pit lane before he made a stop. But and it is what it is. There's going to be teething troubles with things like this. It was probably better than ripping out a full fuel line or whatever when it was stuck in there. Just having that, and then one of the AAA guys actually go out and pull it off for them, which was nice to see. So now for my traditional rundown of all the teams and how they went over the weekend. I run these in reverse teams championship order. So traditionally, we always kick off with the Blanchards because they are last in the teams championship. But this week, we had wildcard this weekend. So, the biggest thing for Cam Crick, I suppose, over the weekend, he 15 seconds in race 2 for an unsafe release. Still had his best finish of the weekend in that race. The results over the weekend, not so bad overall. He didn't disgrace himself. He got himself in the mix and things like that. He did qualify and finish last on Friday, which sounds bad, but it wasn't a disgraceful last. He was actually in the mix, battling with a few cars and things like that. Saturday, 22nd in qualifying, 18th in the race. Really, really good. And, Sunday he was last in qualifying, 24th in the race. As I said, it probably sounds worse than what it was. He was definitely in the mix there, kind of with the guys down the back. It'll be really interesting if he does get the second solo round and then where he can, use the learnings from here, because it's been a massive weekend of learning for him, having the whole weekend to himself. There's only a couple of guys out there that have less experience than him. I'm trying to think. He would have still had the least amount of experience, like the least starts in a supercar out there. So it's all massive amount of learning. He'll move forward from this. Next up, we have last in the team's championship is Matt Stone Racing. I'm actually a little bit surprised about where they are in the team's championship, but very, very middle results all weekend, whereas a lot of the other teams had, I suppose, a standout result. No big disasters, but the best result of the weekend was a 12th for Percat. I think Cam Hill had a 13th in there as well. As I said, nothing spectacular, but nothing too bad. Percat did get a 15-second penalty in race 2 going into turn 2. We never saw a replay of it, but apparently he got into Evans, who then pushed Golding off there. Then Cam Hill got a 15-second penalty because it just seemed that all the MSR cars needed a 15-second penalty in race 2. He also lost out badly in the double stacking in that race. He was running, I think both cars were running in the top 10 at that point. And then Cam ended up miles behind because they were running nose to tail, I think, at that point. The 15-second penalty, I think, was for kind of bumping Brody on the way through, but it was very similar to what then Cam essentially got away with on the last lap on the last corner. Cam was battling Brody at the time. Not too bad. And as I said, Cam Hill drove off with the fuel churn attached. Wasn't too bad a weekend, and I'm surprised that they're last in the team's championship from this. The only way is up. Now, we're finally on to Blanchard Racing. It didn't take long to get here. The weekend kicked off at the test day with Aaron Love having a brake failure. So I actually saw a photo of this, I think, on Instagram firstly, it's like, ooh, not a good one. And then you found out it was brake failure, and you're like, okay, I'll forgive him a little bit. The car was fairly heavily damaged from that. They did get it running again. Then we had the qualifying mishap So Courtney thought that they'd had a conversation where they were going to, to try and get 2 runs in, so they'd blaze out of pits and pass people. And, Love didn't think there was any conversation about that. And, just swerved and into Courtney. Both cars. Love did get back out for the session. They did patch the car up. But, Courtney's car was a lot of damage, especially when it's your team car. Yeah. Anyway, Love also got a mechanical black flag in race 3 because the rear diffuser was hanging off. The big thing from the weekend, though, obviously the bloke in the second car is still having some struggles. I think he's under a lot of pressure to keep his seat, which is probably causing more issues as well. Then, maybe you do the Sergio Perez. Hey, you get a long-term contract and see how it goes when the pressure's off. Courtney did show a lot of pace over the weekend, though. 17th in race 1, but 11th and 12th in the Saturday and Sunday longer races, 12th in the championship. That's a really good start. If he can kind of keep up that pace for the rest of the year, you could even see a bit of a surprise. If he keeps that pace, he could be a surprise packet come the end of the year. You got Gold Coast and Adelaide. He's a bit of a street circuit expert. Oh, yeah. Could we see a big last hurrah from Courtney? Brad Jones Racing B Team. Both cars looked quite racy this weekend. Jackson Evans, I'm assuming, it's only his second time here in a supercar. Could be only his second time here ever. And, 13th in the championship at the end of the weekend. I can see this guy progressing from here for the rest of the year. And he might not get himself into the championship fight, but we could see some really special things coming out of Jackson for the rest of the year. Jones was there or thereabouts, nothing too bad, nothing, super spectacular. He did have that qualifying mishap where Golding was looking really good in qualifying, and he, just kind of weaved in front of him and buggered up Golding's lap. But, not a terrible weekend from the B team. Premier Air Racing, the Haas of supercars. So if it wasn't for cars burning down to the ground, would we have really seen them all weekend? It started off on the test day. Golding had a fire in the car. It looked worse than what it probably was. The car didn't look great after that. They got all built up, ready to go. Then in race 2, Richie had the only DNF over the weekend. So Richie, engine failure, car caught on fire. He stopped, it went out. All okay, causing their only safety car of the weekend as well. Very anonymous in the races. Jimmy did get 2 top 10 finishes over the weekend. He's 9th in the points. That's what we expect from him. Just needs to, I suppose, make that next kind of step where he's not just playing around the back of the top 10, where he's actually, pushing himself into that top 5. They're a long way down in the points, though, as a team, because Richie is currently last. He is behind Cam Crick. That DNF did not help, but not a good start for someone who, there's going to be rumours in Melbourne about him getting replaced now. Erebus. So, Cooper Murray showed speed over the weekend. He also showed us he is a rookie. Race 2. He tried to go for the old 2 for 1 at the same time and, passing Courtney. Oh, bugger it. I'll go for Davison as well in front and Bushka. Davison was off. 15-second penalty for that. And, then in race 3, Feeney was passing him and he just turned in like Feeney wasn't coming through like a freight train. They were on different strategies at the time. Feeney was, coming past. That was where that all confusion kind of happened, and Mostert then came through, and then Feeney going back past him again, and he turns in again and gets spun. Car caught on fire as well in the middle of the spin. It went out. Everything's okay. 15 seconds for Cooper there as well. This is second weekend as a solo driver. Third weekend, actually, because he did Adelaide too last year. He's got massive amounts of experience. He's a rookie. We'll cut him some slack. Jack, rather anonymous all weekend. 2 10th placings and sees him 11th overall. Not a bad start to the year. Probably, if he's supposed to be the team leader at the team that won Bathurst and won at Gold Coast last year, probably should be looking a little bit better overall. But not a bad start to the year. Not dissimilar to how they started last year either. The Brad Jones Racing A team is up next. So, Forwards car, we had a bit of a crack on strategy in a couple of races, didn't quite end up paying off. Race 2, they didn't stop him while everyone else was double stacking. He went around and did another lap, did his pit stop, was going to come out very, very handsomely. And then there was a red light at the end of pit lane, which he initially stopped for. And then they went, bugger it, just go through the red light. She'll be right, mate. Drive-through penalty for that. She wasn't all right, mate. Granted, there probably shouldn't have been a red light there, but in all instances of this happening in the past, you obey that red light or you'll get the penalty. I suppose they would have been last anyway, so the drive-through didn't really matter. Race 3 as well, they left him out forever, pulled him in just before the rain started, so sent him out as the rain was coming down on cold tyres. Would have been amazing to see if they'd even waited maybe one more lap, pitted him in, put rain tyres on, and then saw what happened. Like, they're in a position where they could just roll the dice anyway. It would have been good just to see someone go for that strategy. Jaime, very, very anonymous too. 2 top 10s and 10th in the championship. Very, very good, but just didn't see much of that car. The livery looks quite good on track, but it does fall very anonymously when it's in the bunch. Like, it does not stand out. And, I'm a little bit worried that Jaime might get a little bit lost this year, partly because of the livery and partly because they're not going to have enough pace to really challenge the front. And he'll end up in that kind of mid-pack where the drivers are pretty good and they're not crashing into each other. Like, they're not battling at, like sheep stations for that last position. But, I'm a little bit worried about that this year. Team 18. I would not have predicted them this high up in the championship at this point. So, not Anton. Really, really good. They locked out the front row in practice 1. People were getting really excited by that. And, then qualifying happened. Just remember as well, Blanchard's were 3rd and 4th in that practice session too. So, you couldn't... the form guide. Race 2, Reynolds didn't really start because he had a broken fuel filler on the car, which was leaking fuel in. He had to start from pit lane, and then because Ryan Wood didn't get off the line, he had to wait even longer till Ryan Wood had gone past from his slow start before he took off. Reynolds also had a long stop in race 3 while he was running in the top 10, which... you can say with these things, kind of wrecked his weekend a bit. But he did also seem to blow his tyres off after having that long stop and just dropped backwards in the field. So yes, that was a problem, but also, it was the race set up there. As I've said before, I think I've said it once or twice or maybe 3 times already, Anton, my surprise packet of the weekend. He finished 8th, 7th and 7th over the weekend. That's better than most weekends he did last year with DJR, where he was supposed to be a championship challenger. And, this year he's supposed to be kind of in that retirement home of Team 18, where you kind of go off to become a Bathurst co-driver. Yeah, a really good start. I'm happy to eat my hat or whatever I need to do if we're going to see Anton challenging up the front all year for Team 18. Dick Johnson Racing. Not a bad first weekend for Brodie at the Queensland-based team. Race 2, he had some engine troubles. They replaced that for race 3 and everything seemed pretty good again. He also lost out with double stack in race 2 there. That was probably the only time that Davison really seemed to be on top of him all weekend. It was very solid weekend from Brodie, actually. If you isolate that kind of race 2 and say, okay, that result was because of, an engine that they were having trouble with. The race 1 and race 3, especially when the rain came down, he was on fire. Like he was coming like a freight train. A really good base to start with. They're just going to get stronger and stronger as the year goes on. Davison, there was a lot of rhetoric coming out of him about having to learn the new setup of the car and all of that. He was there all weekend. He's 15th in the points. Yeah, I think judging by this weekend, I think the chasm between the two is probably going to get worse, not better. Unfortunately, I don't mind Will Davison, but I can see Brodie kind of driving him out of this team, just being relentless all year. Grove Racing, Kai Allen, he's a rookie. Punted Love off at the start of race 2. 15-second penalty for that. Other than that, he seemed to pretty much stay out of trouble. We didn't see a lot of it on the cameras. So, he's learning. He's young, my God. I'm starting to turn into an old person where I look at some of the Super 2 field. Anyway, you look at someone like Kyle and you're like, you old enough to be driving? Anyway, not a bad start to his campaign. Matty Payne. He never looked like he was going to challenge those front runners, but he was pretty much always the best of the rest. He's 5th in the championship. It's a really, really good start to the year. They just need to find that it won't take much, but just a little bit extra to start challenging the main guys every weekend. Currently, though, he is the best of the rest. He's looking pretty good. Walkinshaw and Andretti United. Third in the team's championship, I suppose kind of where we expect them to be. I was probably hoping a little bit more from Ryan Wood this weekend. Race 2, he didn't get off the line. My God, he was lucky he did not get collected. Also in that race, he got released into the side of Courtney, getting himself a 15-second penalty. The rest of the weekend, though, was, probably a little bit anonymous. I was expecting him to be closer to Chaz all weekend. His qualifying speed, not terrible, but, race pace, he wasn't anywhere near Chaz. Chaz seems to have gone kind of to another level, and he's left him behind a little bit. Chaz, the big, I suppose, one for the weekend was that stuff up in the top 10 shootout for Sunday. He would have probably been third on the grid, other than spinning kind of at that last corner complex. I'm not sure. I'd just call it one big corner, but I think on the track map it's got about 6 corners in it, the way they he needs to qualify a bit better. Obviously that race he should have been right up front. He did end up starting 10th, but he seems to always need to be fighting through the field. He started, I think it was 3rd on Saturday and then ended up 4th. It's a really, really solid start to the year. He's 3rd in the points. It's looking good. It's a better start than what he had last year off memory. They just need to keep building from that and, maybe lift both cars up to the same level. 888. Well, at the start of the show, I went through, the big incident. Once again, it looks like Brock is the qualifier and then Brown is the racer. It seemed to, and then by race 3, Brown was all over Brock. He was in front, and judging by kind of what happened last year, I can see that happening again. The big bonus this year for Brock, though, I suppose, you've got the playoffs at the end of the year. So he'll be, we've probably got our top 4 set in some kind of order already. Matt Payne might be, but I think this is going to be the top 4. Come the end of the Enduros, they're going to be the top 4. Now then, it's everything to play for at that point, which, Feeney could find himself in the championship, but I think he's going to be in that second, third or fourth position of the championship, with Will Brown being in that kind of first, second, he'll be 1 or 2 spots ahead because of how everything plays out. This big surprise though this weekend, Triple A were not the fastest car. They at no point in any of the 3 races did they have anything for Cam Waters, which I suppose get on to Tickford now. Cam Waters' pace, ridiculous all race. Just absolutely outstanding. How long till we hear Triple A complaining about parity? Maybe they won't, because they're moving into that car next year. Even bad strategy for Cam, they still ended up. They won all 3 races, 3 poles, everything. Just perfect weekend. If it wasn't for that little incident, Anyway, Randall started off with a podium, but went a little bit missing the rest of the weekend. Wasn't bad. He's 6th in the points. It's a very, very solid start. But I expected him to be closer to Cam this year, which he, if anything, seems just a touch further away. It's nothing we need to get too panicked about at the moment, but hopefully Randall can step it up and take it to the fight with Cam, because it's just more fun if there's more people battling at the front. So that's my rundown of the Sydney Motorsport Park weekend. Round 1, super exciting. What a way to kick off the year. Anyway, down in the comments, let me know what you thought of the big incident. Should Cam Waters be drawn and quartered because of it, or, do we just enjoy it for what it is? And, it'll get the fringe viewers maybe tuning in a bit more at the Grand Prix and things like that. In channel news a little bit, I have got some initial ideas of what I want to do here. I've just got to get it past planning permission, aka my wife. It will require a bit of building, so I might spin around on the walls on the room while the building happens. I think it could look pretty cool if my ideas come off. But anyway, that's something to look forward to in the future. And hopefully next week I'll have the Super 2 rundown with some new and old Super 2 friends on the show. But until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.